Hi everybody, welcome to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada, and you can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. It's Wednesday night and I'm here with a technique for you. Tonight I'm going to show you how to make a tri-fold accordion fold. Accordion tri-fold card? One of those. So I thought that I would kind of switch it up from a technique, a little bit different, not so much a technique, but a fun fold or a fancy fold. And I'm going to use the Earth and Textures bundle. I've been using that a lot lately, and I just really love it, so I thought I would use this for my card. Hopefully you're keeping cool where you are. It's definitely feeling like summer here on the West Coast. I've got the air conditioner going in the background, so hopefully it's not too noisy. And hopefully you don't have any forest fires close to where you are living. So everybody needs to be safe and be careful. So lots of beautiful colors in copper clay and pretty peacock, some creams. Oh, it's just some really pretty colors in it. And then, of course, like the stamps, you've got these two vases, some sprigs and some great sentiments, and then some really nice dies. So you've got some extra dies here over and above the ones that cut out the vases and the sprigs. Including this one that is an embossing. Hey, Betty. Hey, Karen. So this embosses texture. Now, I tried to use it the other day on designer series paper. It is very subtle. And so I think the way to use this, actually, I'm going to switch. I'm not sure what's going on here. There we go. Somehow it flipped back to two screens. It's very subtle, but I think if you took a blending brush and blended some darker color over this, it would just pop those little kind of scallops and make it really pretty. And I'm going to try that on another card, but not today. All right, so let's bring in my supplies. I've done some of the cutting out. I'm using distressed gold, which I absolutely love. Oops, just about lost a die. My goodness. That. And I'm using copper clay, and I'm using some of the designer series paper. So this designer series paper is one of the ones that is on sale, not the distressed gold, but the Earth and Elegance is one of the ones that's on sale. So kind of my goal this month is to show you projects that you can use some of your designer series paper. We all have it, or if you want to grab some of this one, it is 15% off. All right. So I've got designer series paper. Now you do need this. This card takes almost a full sheet of cardstock. So you need to cut a piece of cardstock that is 5.5 by 11. So a little bit. It's almost. Yeah, thanks, Betty. I just suddenly noticed it had gone back to two screens. So definitely uses, and I'm using a belly band on my card. So this is using up just about a full sheet. You will have a little bit extra, but you can cut some of the sprigs and things out from it. Okay, so we are going to score this at, so this is 5.5 by 11. And we're going to score it at 1 1/4. Reading my notes as I go here. 4. And then I have to open it up. Oh, goodness. And then 6 3/4. 6 3/4. So that's our card base. And then we're going to use our bone folder. Now, this is the back of the card. So this is a piece that is 5.5 by 4 1/4. That's your standard size card base. So we're going to just fold this larger flap over. And then we're going to accordion fold these pieces back and forth. So this is why it's called a tri-fold, accordion fold. So we've accordioned these pieces, flaps back and forth. So now when you open your card, you have all these flaps we can decorate with designer series paper. And then a belly band will help close this, help keep this closed. Okay, we've got everything. Now, I have gone ahead and cut out designer series paper. So I've got a let's bring in this. Where's my, there it is. Okay, so I've used a couple of pieces of the designer series paper. So this one I've cut 1 inch by 5 1/4, and hopefully my glue will work. Yesterday, if you joined me, my glue was not behaving. So there we go, perfect. I've taken those extra bottles of glue that I had hanging around and I've set them aside, and I'm going to play with them and see if I can get them working because there's still glue in them. All right, so this is 1 inch by 5 1/4. Okay, and then this piece is 2 1/2 inches by 5 1/4. Now you could put designer series paper on all of these flaps. I'm not going to. I'm just going to put the designer series paper on the kind of the flaps that show. So there's the second one. And then the piece that goes on the back is going to be 4 inches by 5 1/4. So this is a great way to use up your designer series paper. And we all know we hoard designer series paper. Because I can't imagine you're any different than I am, and I know I use a lot of it, but I don't use all of it. So isn't that pretty? Just 3 different patterns of designer series paper. Now I do have a piece of basic white because I'm going to put basic white on this piece, and that's what I'm going to write my note on. But I want to do some stamping on it. So let's decorate the belly band before we. Dropped a die. Get that off before I lose it. There we go. All right, let's work on the belly band, and then we'll do the final stamping. So I've cut a piece that is 1 inch by 11. You don't need it this long. When I make a belly band, I just pretty much cut a piece that is, as long as I think will need to be going around. And then I'm going to kind of use my grid lines so that it's kind of folded straight. I hand fold it. I don't score it. I just kind of wrap it loosely. I don't want it too tight, because if you wrap it too tight, whoever you give this card to is going to get really frustrated because they aren't going to be able to get it on and off very easily. Now, you can trim this. There's a fair amount overlapping here, but I'm going to just use, let's see how much. I'm just going to put glue. You could use Stampin' Seal or tear and tape. Glue works well too. And I always put the seam at the front because I'm going to cover it up with the decoration that I'm putting on here. Oops. So just hold it in place until it's tacky and set, and then you can just kind of let it go. Now we've got our belly band on, and so I'm going to just do some decorating. Now I cut this. Isn't this gorgeous? This is one really big leaf I cut out of the distressed gold. I've cut one of these palm fronds kind of out. I've got some more of these just kind of sprigs. And then I'm going to stamp one as well. And I'm going to stamp in copper clay. So I'm going to stamp this one that looks like, I guess they're palm fronds too. So we'll do that. And at the same time, this is a thank you card. Like I said, I always make thank you cards. So we're just going to stamp that there. I'm going to cut that out like I always do. Okay, so we've got stamping done. Oh, and before we also need our vase. So we're going to stamp the vase in copper clay as well. Oh, that didn't stamp very well. Let's try that again, hopefully. There we go. That's better. I think I just didn't press hard enough on it. Okay, so we've got that done. Oh, before we do that. So we've got this piece. This is a basic white, and this is cut 2 1/2 by 5 1/4. So we're just going to take, where's my palm fronds, and stamp these on just kind of down here in the bottom right corner. You can stamp another sentiment on there as well. But this piece is going to go on the back flap here. So I've got some room to write a note. If you wanted to, you could put designer series paper on here as well, and then put a piece of basic white on the back of the card, and that will give you lots of room to write a note. But this is good. It's a thank you card. So Okay, so let's put this belly band back on. And hopefully it's not too, got a little tight. This is why you don't make it too tight, because you'll just frustrate whoever you give it to. I try to make it a little looser than I did. Okay, so okay, before we cut these out, let me show you these. This is looks like the Roman numeral 10. But when you use this die, you end up with pieces that look like this. So I thought that this would be really pretty to just kind of put across the belly band. Now, if I had been, and I think I say this every time I do one of these really detailed dies, if I had been thinking about it, I would have used adhesive foam sheets or adhesive sheets, but I didn't. So I just cut these out of a piece of the designer series paper, and I'm just going to take and adhere them. I cut a piece that was 3/4 of an inch by 4 1/4, because I thought that's what I was going to put across. And so I just took and cut it out of that, so it should fit. Trying to just put a little bit of glue. This will be held in place fairly well by the decorations that I put on here, the rest of the decorations. Oopsie. Try to get this on. All right, there we go. Isn't that pretty? Just adds a little bit more detail to your front of your card. And I didn't get that spaced very well, so let's see if I can shift these just slightly. That's the benefit of using liquid glue. You have a little bit of wiggle room. All right, so I'm going to cut out my vase. Now, if you've watched me before when I've used this stamp set and dies, these dies actually are smaller, or actually they're pretty close to the same size as the stamped image, so you don't get any white around your vase, which is kind of cool. Still getting used to that, but I think it's kind of cool. And I'm using Post-it note tape. You can use a Post-it note or washi tape or whatever. I just like to hold my pieces in place when I cut it. Okay, so let's put the lid back on my glue so it doesn't dry out. Bring in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss, and hopefully that hasn't shifted, and we will run this through. Patricia, welcome. No, you're not too late. You can catch up on the replay. We're just making a tri-fold accordion tri-fold card. I love making fancy fold cards. Never used to, but now I really like to figure different ones out. I'm not very good at creating my own. My husband will tell you I don't see three-dimensionally, and so I struggle with figuring things out. He always laughs at me when I go to make a box, because I try multiple times to make a box. Okay, so this is going to be kind of loose here, because I maybe should have used the smaller. So I think I'm going to put this belly band closer to the bottom, and then I'm going to just attach this this vase across the belly band. So I'm actually going to put my dimensionals on the belly band, and I was going to put some twine. Actually, not twine. This is the gold 1/8 inch trim. I used the silver the other day, so I was going to put this kind of behind. So I'm just going to kind of fold a piece. It's about maybe 4 inches times 3. Just kind of zigzag it back on top of one another. And I'm just going to take and just put it like that. I'm going to have to use more dimensionals, just to kind of, oops, it'd help probably if I had the backing off the dimensionals. There we go. Okay, there we go. So I'm just going to, just a little bit more. I hope that'll show. she says confidently. It's not really going to show. Let's do it the other way. I have to think about this. This is a long, narrow vase. So let's take and put it across like that. And now it definitely will show behind. Perfect. Okay. And then I think my vase can go on like that. And then I need to adhere these palm fronds. I'm going to trim these ends because I think this might stick out. So I'm going to take that. Okay, so we will use some glue dots to put this on. So there we go. So we will just take and adhere that on like that. And then I've got this copper clay, oops, sticking to my nails, sprig, oops, come on. Some of these little tiny narrow pieces kind of stick. I'll just tuck that underneath like that. Uh-oh, what have I got? Okay, I'm gonna try and pull this off because I've got glue dots here sticking out, and they're causing me some grief. I'm gonna have to fix that so the glue dots don't stick to the back of the card. I'll figure that out. Okay, and then I've got this piece. Ah. Good thing I'm putting that underneath it. Sometimes these little tiny ones pull off. The glue dots are pretty strong. There we go. I think I got it. Yeah. Okay, so then we'll put this, tuck it underneath like that. And this one, sometimes tucking underneath isn't. I'm going to trim this off too. All right, let's try and kind of layer these pieces like I want them. Okay, and then I will take and put my vase where I want it to go. There we go. It's kind of hard to get everything showing. All right, I think that's all right. This one's kind of sticking out. There we go. All right, I just want to make sure that I'm going to put another dimensional just to hold this all kind of in place, and it will cover up my glue dots that are showing on the back and causing it to. I think I'm going to have to lift that up a little bit. All right, there we go. There we go. Yep, let's move that up a little bit. Okay, so we got all of our pieces. My vase is kind of free floating, but that's okay. It's on the belly band. And then the last thing for the front of the card is I'm just going to take and cut out my sentiment. I'm going to cut this into two because it's I'm going to attach this to the card itself. So I will use dimensionals on this, one on that one, and maybe two. I love any kind of bundle or stamp set where I can actually use sprigs and kind of layer. So this is right up my alley. All right, so thank you. I'm not happy where this is. Sorry, I'm being fussy here because I'm not real happy where my vase is. I think I want it to be a little bit higher. I think that's all right. Okay. I probably should have used the shorter vase, but you know, live and learn. It's all good. Okay, there we go. Okay, it's going to have to be the way it is. It's all good. Thank you. All right, and the last thing I want to put on is these are the neutrals sequence, adhesive back sequence. I love, love, love. They come in copper, white, gold, and I don't know what that, maybe bronze. So they're 4 kind of metallic colors, and they go perfectly with this paper. So I'm going to use these ones that are coppery. Just love, love, love. There we go. All right. So that is a accordion trifold card. It is just kind of, the vase is free floating, but I think it's really pretty. I would love to get this kind of card in the mail. So there we go. So when you take it off, it opens up like that, and it's very easy to make. It's one piece. So again, if you want the measurements, you can watch this video again, or message me, or leave a comment, and I'll give you the measurements. I will also be, this will be going live in a blog post in a week or so, so you will be able to get the measurements. So if you don't follow me on my blog, you can find me at stampingwithmelva.com. And so usually the cards I do on a live show up in a blog post eventually. So you'll be able to find them. The written instructions, measurements, supply list, as well as the link to the video will always be there. Okay, and then this designer series paper, if you're interested in it. Oh, great. Thanks, Patricia. Again, don't forget the paper is on sale at 15% off through the month of December. What am I doing? I'm so hot. I can't even think. The month of June. I don't know why Christmas is on my mind. Yes, designer series paper, select designer series paper on sale through June, 15% off. If you buy 3 packages of designer series paper in June from me, I will send you a tutorial with some sketches that you can use your designer series paper on as a thank you. All right, everybody, thanks so much for joining me tonight. I will be live again on Saturday at 11 a.m. And then Sunday, I have a team meeting, so it'll probably be closer to 1 o'clock before I'm live on Sunday. But I hope you'll join me then. Hope you have a great evening. Happy stamping.